Now we will look at the installation of software used to control the various elements of the system. Two benwinplus CDs have been provided, one for the DMC 150 system and one for the DTM C300 system. We shall look at the DTM C300 system here, but the principles apply to both. I'm running from desktop here, but when you install the CD into the computer, a setup will be provided. There are two installers available, benwinplus and System SDK. The System SDK allows the user to write one's own software. benwinplus is the fully automated software that we recommend you use to run the system. We select benwinplus and simply hit next to continue through the procedure of installation. A shortcut will be provided on the desktop from which one can run the system. All user files will be located in Documents and Settings public users location. All users, shared documents, benwinplus on this computer. All of the measured results will automatically go to the Spectra folder in this location. One should place the calibration files of any lamps used to calibrate the system in the calibration folder. Those for the CL6 are already included. In the action curves folder are included a number of hazard weighting functions one can add should one wish. The other element one should install from CD, which one must do manually, is on the CD there is a temperature controller folder. Double click on that will lead to a setup which one can run, and simply go next, 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 install, go through the procedure and finish. We are now left with two software on the desktop. Looking firstly at the temperature controller, one should ensure that the CPSC is connected to the EnviroBox. One should connect the 9-way connector to the CPSC, power on the CPSC, and connect then to USB. Windows will find the hardware, and when the procedure has terminated, we can look at the temperature controller software. Running the temperature controller software, one is shown a interface. One should determine the COM port in which this device is in use. Going to Control Panel, Systems, Hardware Device Manager, or the equivalent on your system, one should see a ports element, and here the USB serial port has come on COM5. One must therefore input 5 and initialize. In this case, the use TC08 temperature logger is not used. One can input a set temperature and hit set temperature, and one can view a live graph. For example, at the moment it's set to 25 degrees, and we can simply read every 1 second and start the reading. The graph will then display temperatures of the controller, the set temperature, the output at which the penalty elements are working and the temperature of the controller. And we can see the system is just switched on at 23 degrees, the output at 100% until the system establishes the temperature. The last reading is also shown. In essence, one would rarely use the software. It's merely used for setting the temperature, and one would select a temperature which was appropriate for one's conditions. We regularly use either 20 or 25 degrees to control the EnviroBox. If the ambient temperature is very high, one may not want to operate the system at such a low temperature as 25 degrees, or 20 degrees, that's one's choice. So we shall, for the moment, stop the viewing of the graph and close the software. And I shall extinguish the CPSC for background noise. Running benwinplus firstly requires one to have the USB connections from the monochromator connected to computer. Connecting therefore, Windows will recognize automatically the interfaces, and after some very short time we'll be ready to go. Now we shall consider benwinplus. First, one must connect the USB output from the EnviroBox elements to computer. Windows will take a few moments in the first instance to recognize the devices. Having done this, one can run benwinplus. benwinplus, on initializing, will show two configurations relevant for this system. The two configurations are DTMC300 EnviroBox mode and DTMC300 radiometer mode. One should select the appropriate mode. So in this example we will look briefly at the EnviroBox mode. One can either double click or hit use, and the system will initialize. A noise of the various motors in the system parking will be heard. And now benwinplus is ready for use. The essence of the software to start doing measurements is to go to scan setup, where one can define the number of spectra to measure, the start, end wavelength and step size. All of the measurements that will be done with benwinplus will invariably be through scan setup, although in the measurement of solar irradiance the schedule editor will be used to permit the system to automatically record spectra at a defined interval. Selecting, for example, a single measurement over that range, new scan will send the system to take EnviroBox measurements, recording the temperature of the box and the high voltage for recording purposes, and serial calibrate the system ready for measurement. And the measurement shall proceed. One should now look at the manuals associated with the system to have a look at the step-by-step procedure for the implementation of measurement of calibration lamps, the implementation of calibration, and the further measurement of solar irradiance, and equally the same procedures appropriate to the characterization of radiometers.